Listen to the sound of your kettle coming to a rolling boil. It is a daily ritual for millions, maybe even billions of people around the world. You pour the steaming water over your favorite blend, watch the rich amber color bloom, inhale the complex, earthy aromas, and let the warmth ground you for the day ahead. And then, without a second thought, you pull that soggy, dripping little tea bag out of your mug and toss it straight into the garbage can. We do this every single day. Globally, we consume over 3 million tons of tea every year. That translates to mountains of steeped organic matter ending up tightly sealed in plastic trash bags, buried in dark landfills, where it undergoes anaerobic decomposition and slowly releases methane gas into our atmosphere. It is a massive, invisible hemorrhage of ecological potential. But here at Perma to Plate, we operate under a foundational law of nature. Nothing is waste, and everything is a resource. We believe in the waste-to-wealth mindset. That dripping tea bag you are holding is not garbage. It is highly concentrated organic energy. It is an imported, globally sourced packet of biological fuel, just waiting to be unlocked. However, before you run out to the garden and start tossing your used Earl Grey into the vegetable beds, we need to address a very real, very modern conflict. There is a hidden danger lurking inside most commercial tea bags. It is a microscopic threat that is tricking well-meaning gardeners into actively polluting their own soil. If you do not know exactly what kind of bag you are dealing with, you are almost certainly introducing permanent microplastics into the very earth you are trying to heal. Today, we are going to navigate that danger together. We are going to break down the exact science of why tea is one of the most potent soil amendments in your kitchen, how to completely avoid the microplastic trap, and how to harness this daily byproduct to unlock massive amounts of nitrogen, dramatically improve moisture retention, and cultivate an explosive, thriving web of microbial life in your garden. Let us start by diving deep into the core scientific knowledge of soil biology and chemistry. To understand why tea is so powerful, we have to look at the nitrogen powerhouse, which is governed by the carbon-to-nitrogen ratio. In the composting world, we divide organic matter into two categories: browns, which are rich in carbon, and greens, which are rich in nitrogen. Carbon provides the structural building blocks for soil, while nitrogen provides the metabolic fuel for the microorganisms doing the breaking down. Even though dried tea leaves are brown in color, chemically speaking, they are incredibly potent greens. In fact, steeped tea leaves contain an astonishing nitrogen content of up to 4.4%. To put that into perspective, that is a higher nitrogen concentration than most animal manures and almost all grass clippings. When you introduce this highly concentrated nitrogen into your garden, it acts as a chemical catalyst. If you have slow decomposing, carbon-heavy browns in your garden, things like thick wood chips, autumn leaves, or tough straw, adding tea leaves provides the exact biological ignition those microbes need. The nitrogen fuels their reproduction, their populations explode, and they rapidly accelerate the decomposition of those stubborn carbon materials, converting them into rich, dark humus in a fraction of the usual time. But nitrogen is only the beginning. Let us talk about tannic acid and natural chelation. Tea is famous for its astringency, which comes from compounds called polyphenols, specifically tannins. In the soil environment, these tannins are microscopic miracle workers. First, they are mildly acidic. Many home gardens, especially those near concrete foundations or those watered with hard municipal tap water, suffer from alkaline soil. Tannic acid helps gently buffer that alkalinity, lowering the pH just enough to create a more hospitable environment for a massive variety of plants. But more importantly, tannins perform a highly sophisticated chemical process called chelation. Think of a chelator as a microscopic molecular claw. In alkaline or depleted soils, vital micronutrients like iron and manganese are often present, but they are chemically locked up. They exist in solid, insoluble form that plant roots simply cannot absorb. Your plants could be starving while surrounded by food. When tannic acid from your tea leaves washes into the soil, those molecular claws grab onto the solid iron and manganese molecules, wrap around them, and transform them into a water-soluble, highly bioavailable state. By simply tossing your tea leaves into the garden, you are unlocking a vault of trace minerals that your plants desperately need to photosynthesize and thrive. Then we have the sheer physical architecture of the tea itself. When you look at a steeped tea leaf under a microscope, it does not look like a flat leaf. It looks like a porous, cavernous sponge. It is a sprawling, microscopic high-rise apartment building. This massive surface area creates a perfect microhabitat. Mycorrhizal fungi, which form symbiotic relationships with your plant roots to seek out water and phosphorus, immediately colonize these tiny, damp caverns. Beneficial bacteria anchor themselves into the fibrous ridges of the tea leaf, safe from the drying sun and extreme temperature swings. And we cannot forget the caffeine. Yes, even after steeping, a residual amount of caffeine remains in the leaf. While caffeine is a stimulant to the human central nervous system, it operates differently, yet equally powerfully, in the soil food web. For soil bacteria and fungi, that residual caffeine acts as a metabolic stimulant. It gives them a biological jolt, increasing their cellular respiration rates and drastically speeding up their ability to cycle nutrients. You are quite literally waking up your soil. This biological awakening extends all the way up the food chain to the heavy lifters of the garden, earthworms. Earthworms have a highly documented ecological affinity for used tea leaves. Because earthworms do not have teeth, they rely on a muscular organ called a gizzard to grind down their food, much like a bird. The slightly gritty, fibrous texture of steeped tea leaves provides the perfect mechanical friction for their gizzards, aiding their digestion. When you add tea to the surface of your soil, you are ringing the dinner bell. Earthworms will travel from deep underground to gorge on the tea leaves. As they consume the tea, along with the soil and the microbes, they dive back down into the earth. This process, called bioturbation, is nature's ultimate tilling mechanism. The worms pull the nitrogen, the chelated minerals, and the organic matter deep into the rhizosphere, the active root zone of your plants, and deposit it as incredibly rich worm castings. Now that we understand the profound biological and chemical power of tea, we have to talk about how to apply it safely. This brings us to the Safe Soil Protocol. This is where we confront the reality of modern manufacturing. You cannot just throw any tea bag into the dirt. Let us open the Technical Plastic Identification Guide. The biggest threat to your garden right now is polypropylene or PP. Most standard, inexpensive paper tea bags do not just fold together. They are heat-sealed around the edges. To achieve this heat seal, manufacturers weave a microscopic lattice of polypropylene plastic directly into the paper fibers. When you put these heat-sealed bags into your compost or your garden, the paper eventually rots away, leaving behind a ghostly, invisible skeleton of plastic mesh. Over time, this mesh fragments into microplastics, permanently contaminating your soil, disrupting the microbial life, and eventually finding its way into the tissues of the food you are growing. Then we have the PLA misconception. You might buy premium teas that come in beautiful, silky, pyramid-shaped bags. The packaging proudly states that these bags are made from PLA, or polylactic acid, derived from cornstarch, and are biodegradable. This is one of the most misleading labels in the industry. PLA is indeed a bioplastic, but it requires the intense, sustained heat of a commercial, industrial composting facility, often over 140 degrees Fahrenheit for weeks on end, to break down. In the ambient temperatures of your backyard compost pile or your garden bed, a PLA tea bag will act exactly like conventional plastic. It will sit there, fully intact for years. So, what are the safe materials? You are looking for bags explicitly made from abaca, which is Manila hemp. This is a natural, unbleached plant fiber that decomposes seamlessly. Furthermore, you want bags that are secured with an ultrasonic seal, a folded edge, or a simple cotton string and staple, rather than a heat-melted plastic seam. But let us be practical. You cannot always trace the exact manufacturing origin of every tea bag handed to you. That is why we implement the open and pour rule. It is the absolute safest, most foolproof practice in the garden. When in doubt, simply tear the damp bag open, pour the rich, dark gold out into your garden and throw the bag away. You lose the convenience, but you guarantee zero plastic contamination. Once you have safely isolated those powerful leaves, You can skip the compost bin entirely. We utilize a method called in-situ sheet mulching. Instead of waiting 6 months for the tea to break down in a distant compost pile, we practice spot fertilizing. Take those wet leaves and place them directly onto the soil surface, right at the base of your heavy feeders. Tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, and brassicas crave the slow-release nitrogen and the immediate moisture retention that tea provides. Just lightly scratch the tea leaves into the top half-inch of the soil beneath your mulch layer and let the earthworms do the rest. This direct application is especially critical if you are dealing with regional challenges, like the porous, sandy soils we frequently encounter here in Florida. Sandy soil is notorious for leaching nutrients and draining water far too quickly. By scratching tea leaves directly into the sand, you are introducing what we call the microsponge effect. The organic matter of the tea drastically increases the soil's cation exchange capacity, or CEC. This means the soil suddenly gains the magnetic ability to hold onto positively charged nutrients like calcium, magnesium, and potassium, preventing them from washing away in the heavy rains. Simultaneously, the cellular structure of the tea acts as a literal sponge. Every ounce of organic matter you add to sandy soil exponentially increases its water-holding capacity. During the intense heat of a dry spell, those thousands of little tea sponges hidden beneath your mulch hold onto moisture and slowly release it back to the plant roots, creating a micro-environment of drought resistance built entirely out of something you used to throw away. But the utility of the tea bag extends far beyond passive moisture retention. We can transition into more active, strategic applications that solve common nursery headaches. Consider the wick method for your container-grown perennials and nursery stock. When potting up young plants, place 3 to 4 used tea bags directly over the drainage holes at the bottom of the pot. Not only does the mesh prevent valuable potting soil from washing out during heavy watering, but the bags act as a secondary capillary reservoir. As the soil dries from the top down, the saturated tea bags at the base draw moisture upward through capillary action, maintaining a consistent hydration gradient that prevents the dreaded root ball desiccation, common in plastic nursery pots. For those of you focused on propagation, tea bags serve as the ultimate nursery tea plugs for seed starting. This is where the chemistry of the tea truly shines. Most tea varieties contain high concentrations of tannins and polyphenols, which possess significant antifungal properties. By making a small slit in the top of a moist, used tea bag and inserting a seed, particularly those prone to damping off like tomatoes or cucumbers, you are providing a sterile, protective environment. The tannins act as a natural fungicide, suppressing the growth of Pythium and Rhizoctonia fungi that often claim young seedlings in traditional seed-starting mixes. It is a biological shield that costs you absolutely nothing. Beyond the bag itself, we have to look at the weak tea liquid fertilizer formula. While you've already extracted the primary flavors for your morning cup, there is still a wealth of water-soluble nitrogen and potassium left in those leaves. I recommend a ratio of 5 used tea bags per gallon of rainwater. Let this steep in the sun for 24 hours until you have a pale, amber liquid. This isn't just a soil drench, it's an elite foliar spray. The trace minerals and remaining caffeine, which, in low doses, can actually stimulate plant metabolism, are absorbed directly through the stomata of the leaves. It's a gentle, low NPK boost that provides a steady stream of micronutrients without the risk of nitrogen burn associated with synthetic fertilizers. Then there is the scent-based strategy for pest management. If you're a fan of peppermint or valerian teas, do not mix these into your general compost. Save them for your scent-deterrent perimeter. Mice, spiders, and even certain species of aphids are highly sensitive to the concentrated menthol oils remaining in peppermint tea bags. Hanging these bags from the lower branches of fruit trees or tucking them into the crevices of your raised bed frames creates an olfactory barrier. Conversely, valerian tea bags are known to attract earthworms. Burying a cluster of valerian bags in a dormant garden bed acts like a biological magnet, drawing deep-dwelling nightcrawlers to the surface to aerate your soil and deposit nutrient-rich castings exactly where you need them most. When we zoom out and look at the homestead economics of this practice, the numbers become staggering. If we calculate the cost of high-end synthetic nitrogen fertilizers and compare them to the cumulative nutrient value of recovered tea, an average household can offset nearly 15% of their annual fertilizer budget. Furthermore, consider soil moist crystals or other polyacrylamide water retention granules. These synthetic polymers are expensive and eventually break down into microplastics. By replacing them with tea bags, you're utilizing a biodegradable alternative that provides better results. On a volume basis, an avid tea-drinking household can generate roughly 1.5 pounds of high-quality organic matter per year solely from tea. While that may sound modest, this is waste-to-wealth mineral transfer in its purest form. Remember that the tea in your cup likely originated in the mineral-rich volcanic soils of regions like Assam, Darjeeling, or the Kenyan highlands. When you place that tea bag in your garden, you are effectively sequestering global minerals and concentrated mountain nutrients into your local ecosystem. You are harvesting the geological wealth of another continent and banking it in your topsoil. There is even side hustle potential here for the entrepreneurial permaculturist. Premium vermicompost, worm castings, is one of the most expensive soil amendments on the market. Worms have a particular affinity for the fine-textured leaves found in tea bags. It is easy for them to process and rich in the microbial biofilms they crave. By creating a tea-fed line of worm castings, you are producing a niche, high-value product with a story of circularity and waste reduction that resonates deeply with high-end organic growers. You aren't just selling dirt. You're selling a concentrated microbial inoculant built on recovered resources. As we close the loop on today's exploration, I want you to look at your kitchen waste not as a burden, but as a biological goldmine. Every tea bag is a structural tool, a chemical defense, and a mineral deposit waiting to be cashed in. By integrating these small daily habits into your broader permaculture strategy, you move one step closer to a truly closed-loop system where waste is a word that simply no longer applies to your homestead. Before you head out to the garden, I have a question for you. What is the primary tea variety consumed in your home, and have you noticed a difference in how your plants respond to caffeinated versus herbal infusions? Let's get a conversation going in the comments below. Your observations help the entire Perma-to-Plate community grow sharper and more efficient. If you found value in this deep dive into the science of tea in the garden, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We are committed to bringing you the high-level, actionable data you need to turn your landscape into a powerhouse of production. And make sure to join us for our next episode, where we go from the kitchen to the workshop. We'll be looking at why most people are using wood ash entirely wrong, and how a simple chemical quenching process can turn your fireplace waste into a pH-neutral powerhouse for your acid-loving crops. See you in the next one.